Okay, it says we're live now. So this is the behind the scenes start of the show here. So hopefully we are live. Says we're live right now.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, it says here we go. Okay, so it says I'm getting the alert that we are live. So that's great. So the technology has come through.
Yes.
For us. So that's a good yes.
Yes.
That's a good start.
Technology.
I'm very pleased by that start. So I'll give it another minute for anyone who wants to tune in here, and almost there. And whoever's tuning in right now, you missed some really great behind the scenes and pre-talk. So hopefully we'll wrap that into the next one too. So this will be the first in maybe a series of Facebook Lives with Amy and Monty.
It'll be fun.
That would be fun. That would be fun. Well, that could be like one per topic or something, which kind of make them topical and just one at a time here. So we'll see. I think we've given birth to maybe a whole new series here. See, I told you the best part is the beginning. So as I said, so here we are, 2 o'clock. So welcome to the Red Feather Mind Body Spirit Facebook Live event. I'm Chris McClure, and today we have two very special guests, celebrated creators Amy Zerner and Monte Farber. Amy and Monte are the creators most recently of the Creativity Oracle, Visions of Enchantment, to guide, right there it is, to guide and inspire magic makers. And we wanted to catch up today to learn more about this and the process and what's ahead. But first, just a little background on Amy and Monte. For those of you who don't know, those two people maybe, Amy's Monte Farber's inspiring guidance and empathic insights impact everyone he encounters. Amy Zerner's exquisite tapestry collage paintings exude her profound intuition and deep connection with the archetypal stories and healing energies. For 40 years, they've combined their legendary love for each other. And you saw it just demonstrated right there with the work of inner exploration and self-discovery to build the enchanted world of Amy Zerner and Monte Farber. Best-selling books and articles that have helped millions answer questions, find deeper meaning, and follow their own spiritual paths. So together, they've made their love for each other a work of art, and their art a work of their lives. With over 2.5 million books in print. That's just an amazing number. In 16 languages. Their other titles include the Enchanted Tarot Karma Cards, the Enchanted Love Tarot, which you have a copy of that too, I think, too. May hold up. Great, that's a further title as well. The Chakra Meditation Kit, Truth Fairy Pendulum Kit, Astrology for Wellness, the Enchanted Spellboard, Instant Tarot, the Psychic Circle. It's an amazing body of work. So welcome to you both. It's so wonderful to have. Well, I'm sorry, what was that?
Sorry. That's the show. Bye, everybody.
That's the show. The time has flown. So it's great to have you here to talk on this platform. Yeah, how are you both?
We're great. We set up our Zoom pod area, so we're very excited to be doing this and look.
When you say that, I think maybe like one of those little like 60s eggs, but couple size, kind of like
the Allen movie.
We're in our pod.
In the pod.
The lockdown is not so bad for artists and writers. We kind of have to shut out the outside world to get our work done. So we've been making art. That's what we like to do anyway. And taking ourselves. Our health is so important.
Right. Well, you've been such an integral part of what used to be called like the New Age movement, and now called Mind Body Spirit for a long time, for decades. So how's it changed? How's it evolved?
Well, gosh, when I was young in college, like 1970, I was in art school, and one of my painting teachers was an astrologer.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was always kind of mystical. My mother would do ESP experiments with me. She was an artist, I was an artist, but sort of dabbling in those things. I think we're kind of born as seekers, and we have that seed inside of us. But once I learned astrology, I started studying and taking classes in the 70s, and there was only one kind of mystical esoteric bookstore in New York City at that time.
Zoltan Mason.
Zoltan Mason was kind of these dirty stairs, and he was kind of a weird guy that chased all the girls around the office.
Me too, for sure.
But so I was studying astrology when I met Monty, and he was studying comparative religions. So we were kind of on that path. He introduced me. You were reading Nature of Personal Reality at that time by James Schwartz. And all you have to know is the title. We create our own reality. It was kind of like, oh yeah. And I think, different crises in your life, at least this works for me, takes you to different levels of seeking, different sicknesses. I learned how to take better care of myself, how my mind was connected to my body. It's sort of a lifelong pursuit of learning, and in our case, teaching what we learned. It goes way back. I remember you were also reading the autobiography of a yogi when I met you.
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
That's like a nice primer, right, to get you into the stuff. And
it really is.
Monty actually took the whole course, the Yogananda course.
Yes, I did. I had a dedicated closet that I painted black inside that I used to do the Kriya Yoga techniques.
Okay.
And then I must have manifested Amy. It all started with eating right for me. Actually, my path started from reflexology. I had a teacher that showed me the reflexology worked, so I knew that
in high school.
In high school, and
like 1964.
Right, and he was not the nicest person. Lived on sprouts and was healthier than anybody. He was over 65. They couldn't fire him because he was too healthy. And he showed me that reflexology worked by jamming his thumbs into my arches when my back hurt, and all of a sudden it didn't hurt anymore. So I realized there was more to life, and he got me into eating right. And eating right got me to play music at Sri Chinmoy's restaurant in Queens.
Okay.
And I'm Brahmin. My friend and I used to play 12-string guitars there, and it was also frequented by John McLaughlin and Carlos Santana. They were both disciples of Sri Chinmoy.
Okay.
And I asked them, what's a good book to get into? And they said, Autobiography of a Yogi. And so that started me on that path. And then when I met Amy, I learned astrology.
But when you sort of get into these things, in the 60s, people were very interested in Eastern religion. I think so much of the mind, body, spirit movement maybe comes from Eastern thought.
Yeah, Yogananda was the first of the gurus from India to come to America. He's actually pictured, I know this is going to sound crazy, but anyone who knows the Three Stooges knows the three. I know. They did one where Curly dresses up as him because he was
really. No, I'm actually a fan of the Three Stooges.
I'm sure you are.
Remember the one where he's got long hair just like Yogananda, and they go Maha, and he goes Aha.
Because it was in the newspapers. There was a big story that he came here.
Yeah, and he was the real deal. And it was all about self-empowerment. They use the word enlightenment, which it's a very charged word.
And it was also kind of kept hidden. You kind of had to search out people that knew astrology or people or psychics. And we've always been good at finding good ones. But now everything's available, as you know, Chris, in the supermarket. I mean, it's not a secret anymore.
Right. The secret language and the secret power, things that give you power and help you make magic, are available right on this computer that everybody's watching this on right now.
People know their astrology charts. They have a deck of tarot cards. They, if they haven't been to a psychic, then they're just out of it, right?
Right.
We just had this new person helping us clean our house, and she said, "Oh, I have your," she had one of our books. So it's getting out there, because people want to experience life as best they can.
Which is it's what you're involved in, what we're involved in, making it true. When I started studying astrology, the books were so dense and old and archaic, and the references to men and women, was sort of old-fashioned. And the tarot, early books was like in Babylon it meant this, and Egypt it meant that. And by the time you didn't know what it meant, by the time you finished reading it.
Right.
So our mission has always been to make it accessible, easy, applicable, to the times that we live in, practical.
Right. And to explain to people with a mild interest in it that you're not crazy, and B, here's what it's all about, and this is why it works for us. This is what's helped us have a very successful life, and you can do it too. It's all do-it-yourself spirituality.
And as far as the mind, body, spirit movement, it's also moved so much into wellness, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be the mind, body, and the spirit. So I find some people that are into wellness or just into physical fitness, maybe, and haven't found ways to enlighten their mind, which to me is my favorite part.
We actually met Herbert Benson, who was from Harvard and did actual research on
the relaxation technique.
Which was a meditation.
That was in the 60s, and he studied yogis. And the guy that invented biofeedback, he studied meditators, original yogis and monks
that could do amazing things and slow their heart rate and get buried alive.
Right.
And Yogananda, as getting back to him, when he passed away, his body did not decay, and he was supposedly an incarnation of love. He was a very, very beautiful person, and Time Magazine did a special on report about the fact that his body did not decay.
But all these things are practices, right? The more you do it, the better you get. It's the more you use the cards and tune in, the more intuitive you get. And I think so much now maybe is superficial. People dabbling in this and that. I think a commitment to your creativity, to learning the tarot, it's really a lifelong adventure. You're always learning new things.
To make things simple, you really have to be really good at it, because if you don't understand, it's like the clowns in the rodeo. They're actually really good rodeo riders because
right.
fun with it.
And they would get seriously injured if they weren't really good at that's
the other guys. Actually, each one of them is a really good rider. And so we studied these books that were very impenetrable and dry and old, and we want to bring it into the 21st century, and we've done it.
And we always prayed more people would get into it. Well, it's kind of amazing now.
And thanks
how
to
many
you,
decks there are.
Thanks to you, we did this.
Yes,
that
was your fault.
That's amazing. So let's talk about that. The Creativity Oracle. I have my own copy here. I'm never without it.
Size version.
What's that? Yeah, it's big pockets.
Really?
So what? Yeah. What's?
I think the way it was born, it was such a part of a creative collaboration with you. Which being published is a collaborative medium, which we love because you put ideas in our head,
yes.
Vice versa. Mm-hmm. So we have a book of my art and fashion that Monty wrote that's coming out next year. And you said, why don't, somehow in our conversation, you said, maybe we can do some sort of oracle to preview that to come out first to sort of tie in. And I got the idea of the Creativity Oracle. I always get the titles, and Monty has to write it.
Yeah. But the wonderful thing about it is you're the classic example that we talk about in the book, where we think of every person that we work with as an artist. You're a business artist. You're a publishing artist. We don't. A lot of artists think of themselves a little bit too much as separate from, and we think of every person, every parent as an artist. You got to be an artist at parenting and cooking and living is all about art. So the Creativity Oracle is not a tarot. It's not metaphysical. It's not spooky. For people that think tarot is spooky, I guess they wouldn't be watching this show. But it's all about bringing out your creativity, and you're the classic example of business artist.
Well, you have to follow your hunches all the time, right? You have to Sometimes it's not always. You just have a gut feeling, yes or no, or an idea comes to you, which I'm sure is a fun part of what you do too.
Yes, it's a big part of what I enjoy doing, and I actually remember that call really well, where the idea for the Creativity Oracle, came to fruition, kind of came out there. If I recall, I think that you said, "Oh yeah, I have some images in a drawer or something." Or it's like I just imagined. I imagine this treasure trove of just like art that's never been used or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, we'll just bring it out.
Well, sometimes with a project, you don't always know how you're going to do it. At least as an Aries, I like the spontaneity of it, to see if it comes together, and it's a dance of channeling and allowing and getting in touch with what you know inside, what your higher self knows, which is all what using an oracle is about, is tapping into that. That's why we say just shuffle the deck. The deck actually ended up with 80 cards, all different aspects of creativity, and they all have, oops, these are upside down, Monty's words on the back, my art. So that's how we collaborate, Monty's words and my art. And, you know, after 45 years, we sort of have our own little process, the way that we create together.
Look at all our friends are here. That's exciting. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for
Yeah, they're
listening.
kind of popping in there. It's great to see. Yeah. So, what did you really enjoy about creating this deck? I love how the interplay of, you know, it's the words and the art and all that together, and it kind of like just goes to show, you know, how great a couple you are together, you know, and a creative force together.
I kind of pick details to hone in. My work is very dense and intricate and has a lot of detail, so it kind of pulled out images that you can really see the detail. And when you use an oracle, so you just have to pick one card. You can do 3 card readings. Or you think about a question, shuffle the cards, and pick one. And it's what you need to hear in the moment. We kind of take that for granted because we invent oracles and use them all the time. Somebody new, but I think they might not see how it works till you try it. So we always are demonstrating. We're like the Johnny Appleseeds of oracles. Wherever we go, we tell people to pick cards, and you know, it's fun, but you go deep. It like triggers new perspectives all the time. And
I completely agree. I think you know, with this, you know, oracle, just like, you know, with tarot, there's so much, you know, symbolism just built into the individual artworks, and then the complement with, you know, Monty's, you know, writing, you know, to that too. But I mean, you can spend, you know, an hours just on one card, you know, and really go deep, you know. And I think, you know, you've planted so many seeds all over. I think you've done such a great service, you know, to the community and to.
Peggy says she's joined by Brenda McCallum, who worked on the design of the Creativity Oracle.
Oh, thank you, Brenda. We love how it came out.
Oh my God, when we got the first copy of it, we were just so excited and so happy. And the gold on the side was an unexpected pleasure. It's the kind of thing a deck creator would say, "Could you please do this?" Know that no one's going to do it, but you did it. It's a classic example of the collaboration. And in our deck, we try to make it so that it works for someone who's not going to try to make money from their creativity, but it also works for people who are going to try to make money from their creativity.
Well, there's many different, that's why we have 80 cards. There's so many little steps that we encounter.
Yeah.
Resistance, partnership, you know, different things. So sometimes you have to, you know, set it aside. We have because we know every different aspect of rejection and taking something, keeping it into the drawer till it's the right time. Sometimes it's good to put it aside. You're a little ahead, and also, you know, being rejected, which we have been many times.
That's in there too.
How, you know, you really have to think about how things stop you. Criticism, self-criticism. You know, it goes deep, even though it's fun to do. And
the book, which is a color book, has more text about each individual. Sorry, I'm all dyslexic here, but it has more text about what's going on. Because yes, there's no way around it. You're going to get rejected until you're accepted. That's just the way. It's just the way things work. We were just interviewed for NPR, and one of the interviewers was the man who wrote Toy Story, and he was just fascinated by creativity or talking about how it talked about concepts that he doesn't see talked about other places.
I mean, in the tarot and in this particular oracle, when you pick maybe a more negative card, you know what it means. You know, everything's always roses and sunshine all the time. So it helps you navigate through these more difficult challenges. And all in this time, we've had more time to be contemplative and think about how our minds connect to our body and to our spirit, and how we can maybe rise to a new level. I mean, really that's the best of it, right? When we can sort of get into a new level, a new awareness.
Definitely. Yeah. I think, you know, you touched on something earlier when you're saying, you know, about practicality and do it yourself. Really, I think that's one of the reasons that this has, you know, connected with so many people. It's a practical deck. It doesn't doesn't sugarcoat anything really too. You're talking about the challenges
Yes.
that people will encounter, in everything they do, whether it's their work or their project they're doing for a creative project or a relationship, whatever. It's just like you're going to have to work through these things, and I think that's a hallmark of a deep sense of spirituality when you can look at those challenges too and gain inspiration from them too. So I think really that aspect of the practicality and the do-it-yourself is one of the reasons that you both have endured so long and connected with so many people, because you're able to speak to them on a level that anyone can understand and appreciate and gain something from.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're doing it. I mean, we're packing up the boxes.
Right.
We're
chopping wood, carrying water.
Right. Do it all.
Yes, we're going to put in indoor plumbing any day now.
But I think also we've been involved with many businesses that kind of all feed into a life experience. So I'm a fashion designer, Monte, music business, and the movie business. So we know as artists, what different things we're all going to watch. Other people maybe not liking what we present, or let's just pick a card just as an example.
For everybody?
Well,
and thank you, Amy, for saying you use the creativity oracle in your writing all the time.
Well, thanks. So this is the resurrection. I just happened to pick it. Reconsider a project or recall a person from the past to resurrect an idea. That's sort of what I was saying before when I said I had something in the drawer for you. I have something else in the drawer for you, Chris.
Okay.
And the piece that this detail is from is actually, isn't this
Maya?
It's called Maya, which is all about illusion.
I see.
It's a deep.
Sometimes I do the pieces, and then Monty sees the story in it and the movie.
Yeah.
It's the words, and I'm the pictures.
Right, but I illustrate Amy's art with my words. She doesn't illustrate my words with her art. There is a difference, because I feel like the goddess flows through her. Therefore, I should be able to figure out what the goddess is trying to tell us.
And the the Enchanted Love Tarot is also, we did it that way, where I did the images. The tarot, though, is a traditional 78 card deck, so we kind of geared it all towards relationships, and it's also a tough love kind of approach.
That's perfect. Yeah, I was going to ask about your process too, like how you work together, and you've illustrated some of that already, as far as the artwork, and then Monty, you're inspired through that to weave such beautiful words around it. It's really an amazing collaboration.
Yeah, every dinner is a brainstorming session, and this it's a very seamless life. Getting ideas and driving around and sharing, our observations of what's going on in the world, and thinking about what's going on astrologically, and let's pull a card on that. It's just normal part of we're the normal paranormal people.
The normal paranormal.
We feel very fortunate that we're able to have an outlet for, if we have an idea, there's a chance that maybe we can get our idea out to people. It's a lot of fun. We're very lucky, and we know it.
Yeah, that comes through as well. I think you both have a humility and a gratitude, really, for what you're doing, and just as you stated, as the goddess is flowing, through Amy too, and you're interpreting that, and that's really there's a level of respect that comes through with a statement like that, and I think it's reflected in what you produce as well, as far as your.
Our art is the engine that drives the whole thing, the whole enchanted world. And I'm glad to say that her art is being recognized more and more around the world. She's about to have a show, just she and a world-class artist whose work sells for millions of dollars are having a show out here in Southampton.
All about goddesses.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, going back to what we were saying about the mind, body, spirit movement, that we were all interested in, are getting to be so mainstream now. I mean, we did a book about goddesses in 1991, and now it's kind of amazing and empowering to see that it's just an acceptable, saying to your girlfriend, "Go goddess."
Yeah, and when Audrey Flack first moved away from photorealistic paintings, she was the first woman in the Jansen's History of Art book that they used for teaching. When she started moving into sculptures of goddesses, people were just like, and now it's she's just happening. She's 80.
Oh my. Yeah, it's such a part of the mainstream and more all the time, which is really beautiful to see the variety of religious expressions.
And you have to be discerning too, because there is so much out there. You sort of have to use your intuition to discern, what's
Exactly.
right.
So
when it's a product, it ties into the packaging, which you guys do so great.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Well, what we try and do is we try and honor the creator's vision for their work. So we try to be in close collaboration and even give you some surprises like we did, I guess with the gilding there. So just to make it something that we can be proud of, you can be proud of, that'll really connect with the audience and be a useful tool for their journey. That's really what we're all about, with Red Feather. So,
there is so much there now. The cards aren't right. I hear about it. If it's wrong stock.
Right. Cancel culture. Yeah, and
right.
Most wonderful things about Red Feather and about Schiffer Publishing, we're friends with some of the store owners. They say you guys are the best to deal with. So,
well, I think, you feel the pulse of what people are, where they're at, what they're trending towards, and we do that too. Whether we do it astrologically or intuitively, because we're a part of that. So what we're drawn to and what we like is generally what's going to come next, I find, as a Aries and an Aquarius.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love seeing the comments on the side. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, they're great to see, right? It's wonderful.
I love this venue. It's such a great way.
It's a lot of love you're seeing there, and for good reason.
Well, with some people we've known since we were first together in the 70s. And Lori, we've known since, my God. Lori's
she's our angel.
She is. She's the reason that I did karma cards.
Oh, fantastic. Wow. That's
a long story.
Great. Boy, that's a whole other segment.
Yeah.
On the next segment.
The first person I did the Ouija board with,
yeah,
that led to some amazing things because we did our own talking boards.
Yes, we did. Yeah, I mean, we've had this great life, but we like to think that the best is yet to come, thanks to Red Feather and Schiffer Publishing. And, we're just getting started.
That's great. And I'm excited to hear that. I know there's more that's coming too. We can't quite talk too much about it right now, but there's a lot of good stuff. There's good stuff in the works. So we'll see. The world will see soon enough. So question, what would you say to somebody who has a vision and they're trying to make manifest, but don't really know where to start? So the creative process.
Well, they pick a card.
There you go. Pick a card from the beautiful Creativity Oracle.
Yeah, they should pick the card themselves. But I'll.
For example,
here's one you could get. Let go.
Mm-hmm.
Anything can be done to let go of what is standing in your way.
Well,
that's usually a good one.
And so many things can stand in their way. I mean, because we've been talking about this with a lot of people, this project and their own projects. Some people are afraid to present it. They want to get it just right before they show it to anybody.
Right.
And sometimes you have to let go of that attachment because it's really fear of failure. And because if I don't show it to anyone, I can't fail. So anyhow, all of our directions in that book are about nurturing those anxieties and those fears. The first card of the deck is fear. I mean, that's the killer of any idea.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Because even people who love you are going to give you advice that might be actually counterproductive to what you're trying to do.
But if they really have worked on an idea, I always stress to be as professional as possible, with your proposal and your presentation, have a copy editor look at it,
and if you don't hate your copy editors, they're not doing their job.
Because you really only get one shot, Chris, right? You're going to look at it and it's going to make an impression. Sometimes you don't even have time to read the whole thing. I think I always tell them, think that you got one shot with this and make it as good as you can as far as the presentation.
Harper.
It's lovely to see all these people that you've known And yeah, that's great. And just to echo your point there, really, professionalism is important. I think though, just it takes that first step though, just to break through that fear. I mean, there's a good reason that fear is the first card, in your creativity oracle, because that's the biggest obstacle for most people. Just taking that first step and trusting in in themselves and what their inspiration is, and going for that too.
Something that they're passionate about that comes from the heart. If you're working backwards from I need to sell this for money, it's maybe going to inhibit the authenticity of it. I mean, we're true believers. If you do what you love, the money won't come. And it should be authentic to you, not because so and so did this, so I think I can do it. Sort of like what they do. I mean, we stress originality, but that's all about getting to know yourself better, which Oracle does. The original Oracle at Delphi was imprinted with the words myself. And also
nothing in excess. So fear is not necessarily, you're never going to be without fear, because fear keeps you from walking off a cliff, but you don't want fear to stop you, because fear can be the destroyer, especially of small little ideas that are coming to you through your intuition. Because I can't tell you, I've invented things that have never existed before, but you're always going to hear that voice saying, well, someone must have done this, or who wants to see this, or it's just,
why will they be interested in what I have to say? Well, we all have something original and unique to say, because we're all unique.
Right, and so actually, it had its little bumps, the Creativity Oracle getting out to the world because of COVID. But actually, COVID is the perfect environment for it, the pandemic, because everyone can now get into their creativity. I'm not saying that it's going to be a whole world of fine artists or writers or whatever.
Knitted Afghans.
Or knitted Afghans or masks. A lot of people.
I did. I made.
Yeah, but people get into their creativity. That can be a good thing.
Cooking, becoming a greater cook. How are you going to homeschool? That's people have to be forced to be very creative that way.
That's a big one.
Fixing up their homes, they've had maybe more time. Or I know with us, it's like, God, I never saw that before. We got to fix that because we're home so much.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And, we set up this dedicated areas because we realize this is a wonderful way of reaching people. What you're doing is a wonderful way of reaching people. So, we said we have to figure out a way to light this so that our glasses don't reflect.
That's very
that was our creativity.
There you Did you pull cards in creation of your pod? Is there backstory with that? I
probably wouldn't have done it if I would have. It probably would have said procrastination.
You can pick it.
Right, just hold on there.
Yeah. No, it sounds like that advertisement. There's an app for that, but there's a card for pretty much everything, including when to send it, when to tear it up and throw it away and start again.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's sometimes
when to find somebody to help you.
Right, when not to listen to someone.
I usually find, though, if you're doing what you love, the person to help you kind of comes in a magical way. I mean, this whole process opens you up, and I think that's the point. The more open we are, the more open we are to opportunities, to new ideas coming through, to different ways of doing things. So, it shakes up, your rigid ways of thinking, your habitual ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, and that's an important point to longevity and being engaged, with life is embracing changes and embracing those new opportunities and the people or technologies or whatever that come into your life and using it as an opportunity. There's a term that I like to use to myself that's called reverse paranoia. That everything is maybe you heard of it before. No, okay. Maybe I don't think I coined it. It's in there somewhere. So it's basically saying that, okay, well, instead of everything being against me or us, it's just like, okay, everything is here for a reason, and it's for the good. It's for a good. And so it's taking that, those situations, trying to see something that's going to be positive in it, and moving forward through them, whatever the challenge is, rolling.
Look back in our lives, it's usually been that way, even though we're kind of kicking, screaming, or moaning, or whining. And there's a lot of that going on.
Why is she looking at me when she says?
Yeah, like sideways glance.
Whining
I know it.
screamer.
I mean, just as an artist, sometimes because I'm a collage artist, sometimes I can actually burn something with my iron. But it's always for good that was meant to be covered up and changed and transformed into something else. Which is, we have a card for that. It's called Happy Accidents.
Happy accidents, exactly. Happy accidents. I use that too.
Yeah, we can't say the virus is a happy accident.
No,
of course, right.
We can say we can have an awakening from what we're learning as a result. Was bound to happen one way or another because we are in the age of Aquarius.
Well,
shakeups.
And Einstein said you could look at everything as if it's a miracle, or everything is that nothing is a miracle. So we like to look at things as if everything is a miracle, which of course, eventually we're all going to go to the same place, but we might as well enjoy ourselves as best we can and be as creative as we can until that happens.
Exactly.
No, I don't mean. I had a friend. I've said this before, but I had a friend who had 10 television stations, and we were talking about New Age and why there's not a New Age television station. He says eventually there is going to be one. He says because New Age is actually a broad market masquerading as a niche market because it's about life, death, and everything that happens in between.
Mm-hmm.
So and he really, he was a market analyst, and he was right. When you talk about New Age, every person we talk to has some kind of spiritual experience, some kind of metaphysical beyond the physical experience. My grandmother occurred to me, and they'll come up to us, or they used to when we
They always say, you won't believe this.
And I say, of course I believe it. That's what
Are you crazy? Of course I believe it. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we'll believe it.
Yeah. So that's great. So I just wrote down that. So yeah, the next generation, it's actually really profound what your friend said. Really, because it is embodying everything. Really, it's soup to nuts. Really, the mind and the body and the spirit, and then it's all that too. So
plus, it's anything that's really important to people. It's about it's the connections. It's the spirit that is inside the body having this human experience. It's very powerful. So it's not an accident that mind, body, spirit as an industry is what, $23 trillion now? We just saw something like that, an article about that, right? That it's a if you include everything, the spas, the hotels,
the wellness,
it's a $23 trillion business. And of course you can't put a dollar sign on it, but that's a trend that's very powerful.
Definitely, and it's only growing too, and which is beautiful to see. And so I guess we've determined now the next iteration for us then is Red Feather TV. So that's so with all that. So what lies ahead for for both of you? What's coming up? What's next? Or are you just basically taking it as it comes? I know you're not really. It's a combination.
Well, we never had a 5-year plan in business or anything like that. I don't think we would have survived as freelancers. We kind of really trust, and things do come in. I'm excited about showing my work more. I'm excited about the art book we're doing with you, and we have some other secret projects like that. But this lockdown, I have to make art every day just for my mental health, and so I did a whole new series that I'm really excited about that just came through me when I allowed it to, and the time. Being an Aries, I always like to experiment and explore new things. And Monty's just having fun writing.
Yeah, but I think the next stage for the Enchanted World is we're going to try and create a museum for Amy's work, her mother's work, her grandfather's artwork, her sister's artwork. We're trying. That's going to be a long-term project for us. Mm-hmm. And
not that we know how we're going to do that.
No, we don't.
That's the first. It
starts with the idea. It has to start there.
Yeah, so you have to have a dream, and then you have to start planting seeds for that dream.
And you can't be afraid that it's not going to happen. Someone will pass a building for sale out here and say, well, that could be the Amy Zerner Museum, or and just keep
having
doing
visualization.
We once had the idea, and we told us to one of the heads of sales, I think of Penguin, we said, we want to have our own shelf at Barnes & Noble. And he laughed at us. And we made a shelf talker, and we did all this stuff
We made it in our house, you know, as a visualization
on
of our
on
intention.
our bookshelf. And then our friend got a job at a publishing house that was connected to Barnes and Noble, and we got our own shelf. You know, so
So you can't always predict exactly how your affirmation is going to manifest itself. But I think it's so important before we go to sleep each night, we think about our wish and we imagine it very real. Like it's easier for me as an artist, maybe if people have to practice it, how they're going to visualize and how they can see it in the mind's eye.
We call it quantum affirmations. It's a technique where you see, it's like all other affirmations techniques, but the trouble with the other techniques is when you do them, you realize, oh God, what if it doesn't happen? Or what if it happens and then this bad thing happens that comes with the territory? And my thing is embrace that. The example that's a cliche is if you win the lottery, relatives are going to come out of the woodwork and start asking you for money. But embrace that, because that's going to happen if you win the lottery. So
you have to see the whole yin yang of the situation.
Right, and to embrace the negatives. And unfortunately, one of the aspects of New Age that I hope hasn't made it into mind, body, spirit is people were not comfortable with the negatives.
Your subconscious is going to think.
Right, you can't hear the word no. But people like Ariel Ford said, Debbie Ford, she did a work on the shadow side, you know, and people now are embracing the shadow side. And that is really important because
it makes it real.
Yes, your subconscious is not going to lead you into the fire, but it wants you to know what you're up against. Because if you don't imagine a future that contains negativity, you're not imagining the real future.
An example would be if I want to exhibit more. So I picture myself, my work in a museum. But the negative of that would be I have to produce more work. I have to sort of outdo myself or whatever negatives come up to make that a whole picture. Because nothing is ever all perfect. When you meet the one, it's not all perfect, although it is with you.
Sure, and everybody believes that. But here's a classic example. We've been doing these visualizations, like quantum affirmations, about Amy showing more in the museum. So now what's happening? She's having a show with someone who is in every museum in the world, every major museum in the world. Audrey Flack, Amy.
That's why you can't always predict how it's going to come. Once you do your visualization for what you want to manifest, then you kind of have to let go
of how it's going to happen.
Separate your attachment.
Right. Our friend Jerry Epstein used to say, separate your intention from your attention. You know, you set your intention and then just go about your business and let your subconscious and let the world and the universe work for you.
Because we have different fun ways to do little spells and to do little rituals that kind of reinforce your intention, like in our Enchanted Love Tarot.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of little love spells and spells for getting over a broken heart, spells
and
meeting someone new.
And one of the people who endorses this and endorses our work, I just want to show, I mean, we always used to say, oh my God, she's so amazing, she should run for president. So she did, Marianne Williamson.
Right.
And we think of her as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a classic example of someone who has manifested a life that other people wouldn't have thought was possible. I mean, she ran for president, and she talked about vaccines, and she talked about health, which no one's talking about.
It's so heavy in the news now.
Right, the whole thing about vaccines, and she talked about there should be a Department of Wellness and about how people should eat better. And as I said, eating better is what got me into spirituality. So, so Hippocrates said, "Thy food shall be thy medicine."
Which Monty talks a lot now because people ask him about the virus and the times that we're going through. He talks about making your base secure.
Yeah.
Which is taking care of your body, but it's also taking care of your home
and your finances
and grounding yourself, because we all get thrown off balance by bad news and bad, scary stuff.
Yeah. My karma cards are about astrology, and astrology is predicted that a paradigm shift would happen starting in January of 2020. and a lot of astrologers have been talking about it for years. And we knew something was going to happen, and also the planet Neptune and Uranus being together, Neptune in Pisces and Uranus in Taurus hasn't been. They haven't occurred at the same time since the run-up to the Civil War, and we saw that coming, and we've been telling people, that's a possibility. And now you see the word Civil War in practically every website every day. Unfortunately.
Right.
But at the same time, we're very positive, and that's why creativity can help everyone.
Yeah, it's such an intense time. We need tools to help us stay grounded, to help us stay connected, to help us see things from a higher perspective.
And I used to get very mad. I had a friend who had a television show, and I said, you're telling us all the bad things that are happening in the world, but you're not telling anybody what they can do about it. The television show, the mainstream television show that actually gives people tools of doing something about it is going to be the most successful television show in the world. And that's what we try and do with our little do-it-yourself projects is here's what you can do to change your life right now. And here's a steering wheel so that you don't feel like you're in a bus that no one's driving.
Yeah, we don't want things that make us feel powerless, that, just drains our energy.
Yeah, people spend this time talking about politics and yelling about stuff on Facebook as if you're doing anything about it. Yes, of course you're doing a little something. You're publicizing a particular point of view. But how about the areas of your life that you're not addressing that you could actually be doing something about?
Yeah, because the more centered and grounded and positive we all are, it spreads. It spreads just like fear spreads. So which would you prefer?
I loved, what was the anti-paranoia?
Reverse paranoia.
I love that.
Yeah. It's kind of
party.
And there's a book called Constructive Living. It's by a Japanese man.
What?
And it's a Japanese technique, constructive living. Instead of worrying and being anxious, doing something is going to make you feel like you won't have time to worry.
If you put one foot on the ground, get out of bed, make your bed. I think people get too overwhelmed. That's when they start to procrastinate. It's like, I have to do this and that and this and that, and so then they don't do anything. So we're all in little steps, because anything little positive that you can do.
Oh, exactly. Like I was saying earlier, is there's little positive things and breaking through that fear. It's just and doing something like using the Creativity Oracle. If you're going to have change and positive change, it has to start with the individual.
Yeah.
And the more individuals that are going to be doing things like that, then that spreads. And I think that's people are waking up to that realization too, with all of the challenges that are in the world right now. That's why there's so many people are going towards things like what you've created, because they want to work on themselves, because they know that working on themselves will help society in a whole. And I think that's really part of what the beauty of what you've created, of your body of work, of your time you've been in the industry and doing all this up to now and into the future, because you recognize that and you embrace that, and you're approaching everything with a sense of wholeness, a holistic kind of approach, to what you're creating. So that really comes through.
One of the people on the chat, Michelle Harper, she is the quintessential example of someone who has used, not necessarily which is what we did, but she was ready for what we were talking about, and she put her own spin on it. She transformed her life like a magician transforms their life. So one of the reasons we keep doing it is because it works. It works for us, and we like to share it. And the best.
And sometimes it's so simple, right? We make life so complicated. And sometimes just a certain different way of looking at something will feed your soul and be like a thread that makes everything better.
Yeah, and Red Feather and Schiffer are just. When we look at the books that you publish and the kits and the projects, you're giving people the tools to make the changes in their life that makes them powerful. And a world of powerful people is the world I want to live in. I don't want to live in a world where everybody feels like, oh my God, everything's happening to me like a tsunami wave. Because there are things you can do to take control of certain aspects of your life. We can't change government policy except through voting and writing to people and communicating. But there's a lot of things we can do to actually make changes in the life that we're living, the important one, the one that we are experiencing right this moment.
Exactly. And yeah, part of our philosophy, is to, let spirits take flight, and really give, consumers what they are looking for and what'll help. You mentioned earlier about working with stores and things like that.
Yeah.
We talk with stores all the time about, okay, what are your customers coming in and looking for? What do they need?
Right.
What's going to help them to get to, where they want to be, and then that informs, what we're doing here. And so it's important.
Feel the pulse of trends, and I'm a designer also. You see trends, all of a sudden will come to the fore. A certain style or books, it's like goddesses everywhere. It's exciting because we're all a part of it. We're all connected. I think that's a real hallmark of the mind body spirit philosophy, that we are connected.
Yeah, so I think one of the great things about all the do-it-yourself divination and do-it-yourself spirituality things that Red Feather and Schiffer are doing, that we're trying to do, is that this pandemic's going to be over, and so there's half of our time can be spent working on living through it. The other half can be spent preparing for when we come through it.
I love
it's going to be different.
What you said about spirits as your motto for your publishing.
That's amazing. That's great.
During the lockdown, when the lockdown can't move around so much, we can let our spirits take flight. That's a real gift this time. However, we do that.
It's a perfect opportunity to do that.
And I'm not forgetting that some people don't have money to put food on the table. That's going to be one of the problems of this time, that we're going to have to help people get through that time, either through GoFundMe pages or direct charitable donations. I mean, you can't forget that, of course. And
that is hitting so many people.
Right. One of the criticisms of self-help books or spirituality books like we do is it's navel gazing. You're just interested in yourself. No, it's to make you strong enough so you can put your mask on and help before you put the mask on the other people. Like when you fly, they say put your mask on before you help the person next to you. You can't help the person next to you if you are a weak person, or if you're a sick person, or if you are a person. So we're trying to empower people to make better decisions, because poor decision making is the common denominator of all human suffering. If we help people make better decisions, then the world is going to be a better place.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's about providing that and helping people to be their best selves, really.
Exactly.
And a lot of that's with connections and things. And so, how can people connect with you two? Are you available? Social media or different areas? What's the best way to do that?
Well, our website is theenchantedworld.com.
You can get free readings and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. And you could even join as a member and get even more stuff. So that's theenchantedworld.com or .net. All one word.
That's all of our books. And my website with my fashions is amyzerner.com.
CERNER. Jewelry. And I have Monte Farber, Monte with an E, montefarber.com. But going to the Enchanted World, it'll also have, and all our websites have entrances to our other websites. So if you go to one, you can get to all of them.
Or we're on Instagram, Amy Zerner Monte Farber, just movies, and
Facebook.
We like to interact.
Yeah, well, we have nothing but respect for our audience, because when I worked as a bodyguard in the movie business, I worked for Michael J. Fox, and on the first day working for him as his bodyguard, he said, "Look, if I got to go someplace, let's get me. But if somebody actually gets to me, don't bother me, because these are the people that put me where I am." And it made a lot of sense, because he understood that his fans were why he was who he was, and not just another kid from Canada. So, there's tremendous respect, I think, in every project that we do for the people who are reading the book, because we're thinking of them when we're making them. We're not just talking to hear ourselves talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that really comes through with everything you're doing. We have a little bit of time. I was going to leave it for questions, but I haven't seen any questions here. It's all just basically appreciation is what I'm seeing.
No, we appreciate every one of these people. We know, I think we know every person who's written. It's so nice.
Yeah. So yeah, and Peggy put the link, the Enchanted World there in the comments too, and everything. She's yep, getting all that stuff in there. So
collective card for the collective consciousness of today.
Beautiful. Go for it.
For all of us.
We're going for it.
Reflection.
Reflection.
Reflection. Perfect.
Balance, reflect, and guide yourself past stumbling blocks to take the right action.
Which is what we were talking about, right?
Exactly.
And she's sitting out, the figure's sitting outside and watching all the signs of nature. So if you're in a place where the weather's nice and you can access a garden or some form of nature, that card to me speaks to that.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I think this has been like one wonderful reflection on where things have, come from and where they're going for you all and us together and society as a whole. And wow, boy, I feel energized and excited. Yeah.
Okay.
What's that?
I think I'll go write a new book.
Write a new book. Okay. I'm inspired. And
have to do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for having me. So, and thanks for coming on. So, thanks for tuning in. For everyone who tuned into our live event, it was just so much fun. So, the Creativity Oracle, the Visions of Enchantment to guide and inspire magic makers, is available at theenchantedworld.com. Wherever books and decks are sold, redfeathermbs.com. Just to check it out. I get a lot of inspiration from it. You will as well. And also, don't forget the Enchanted Love Tarot and all the other wonderful products.
They can buy you directly from your publishing company.
Again, yeah, redfeathermbs.com. Yep, you can order it right on there. And yeah, so I hope people are able to connect with this. And thanks for connecting with us, everyone together. So thanks to everyone. Have a beautiful day. Thank you both.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. Thanks,
Bye, everybody.
Chris.
Thanks for watching.
Bye now.